Om Mataya Pradibodhitam Bhagavatam Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Kraditam Puranam Vina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamridavashini Bhagavati Ashtadashadhyayini Ambatvamanusantatami Bhagavad Gita Bhavatveshini.
We are supposed to start with verse 1. Before that I thought I was just going through the Bhashyam. See what they say, Kshetram. The meaning is, Tra means cross. Okay. Trayate is called crossing. So, Shayam means something bad. Something that is supposed to be getting rid of. You are supposed to get rid of. Shayam. So, Shayat Tarana, in the sense by which you get rid of what is not Mangalam, what is not good for you. It's called Kshetram. So, Kshetram, your own body, actually they will be saying that Bhagavan will say, Idam Sariram Kaunteya Kshetram Vidyabhidiyate. Meaning, he says that your body is the Kshetram. So, your body is the Kshetram for what? For you to get rid of what is not good for you. That is samsara, basically. So, your body is meant, your life, what we call life, is meant to cross this ocean of samsara. That is for what we have been born. So, Kshetram, this body, Kshetram, it can be called Kshetram only if you put it to use for crossing samsara, not for anything else. So much of meaningful way, even our normal language, in our language, in sense, just imagine in your own Tamil language, Vedu means that is supposed to give you freedom. Okay? And that is there in Tamil also. And I'm just imagining, Swamiji always used to say, just imagine in the olden days when the rishis were there, when these things were written and all that. See, it's all their own mother tongue, their own common language, Laukika language. This is how they did the Shambhashana and the way in which they lived. So, since for them, these are all so very, very rudimentary, very casual in their life. They knew that Kshetram means this body is meant for crossing the ocean of samsara. That is how they looked at the rishis. Of course, there were always pamaras. Even in those days, pamaras were there. It's not that they were not there. But people who were in contact, people who were in the position of reckoning, where they can write, literate, whether it is palm leaf or whatever it is, Shambhashana, when they can talk language. See, in the olden days, not everyone might have talked a very good language and all that. Maybe there were people who were not. But people who knew, who were able to put them in writing or palm leaf and carry it to the generation, the people who are the cream of the society, who are able to communicate and take it to the next generation forward. So, today we call them rishis and Vedikas and all that because we have lost it. In the sense, now we have to look at only those things and pray to God that we are in good company and all that. Okay? But those days they were the people who were originating. They were the source. They were writing it out, whatever they had in their mind and all that. And they have said, Kshetram means that it helps you to cross the ocean of samsara. So immediately, once they call it Kshetram, they knew what this body is meant for, what this life is meant for. So that's what he says. Bhashya also says, if you are able to identify this body as this body, instead of saying that I, if you are able to say this body, means there itself you get a space inside. Kshetram and Kshetrajna. Kshetrajna means one who knows the Kshetram. I look at this body as this body, period. It is not I. If you are able to have even that much of space, you have made the journey. So that sort of a thing he is saying that that vibhaga saha, you are able to identify that even a person, if you are able, even he may not be worldly knowledgeable, may not be there, he may not know rocket science, but even if a normally ignorant person is able to see the difference between him and his body, this Upadesha will help him. Vibhaga saha, meaning who are able to differentiate. Vibhagam karoti saha. One person who is able to do the vibhagam between kshetra and kshetrajna, body and the I, the being, and the body, he will be able to understand all these things, what is being talked about. So he says that, Bhagavan says, those who know viduhu, even swabhavikataha, even an ignorant person, this is worldly ignorant person, is able to see the difference between him and his body, vibhagasaha, or by upadesha, by talking to people around him. That person can, he says, what he says, the ego identifies with the body, but here by saying apadatalam mastakam, Shankara says that I am, objectifies the body from head to foot. I amness, Sakshi, the window, that discernment, space is the Viveka. Discernment between Kshetra and Kshetrajna, understanding that leads to the wholesome understanding of manifest consciousness, Atma in all Kshetras, Brahman, oneness with Parameshwara. This is because once you look at it that way, Kshetrajna means the being. Everything else is body. Everything you can identify, you can transact, you can see, you can feel. All that is body. Body, mind, senses, whatever you call it. So, together they can be called body. And all its affiliates. And Kshetrajna means what? That must be only the being. A being which has no identification with anything. Meaning it's timeless, spaceless, and it is not an object. If you are able to look at it, that understanding that leads to the wholesome understanding of manifest consciousness, Atma in all Kshetras, Brahman, oneness with Parameshwara. That is what he starts in this particular chapter. There is a lot of Purva Bhaksha Siddhanta. That is a dialogue. Question and answer will be there. Let us see. Maybe in the home study book they may not be there, but in the Bhashya it is there. So wherever it is relevant, I would like to bring it. Okay, and then he says, see, that is why there is not much knowledge or pandityam involved for understanding reality. You need not be a greatly educated person, you need not know rocket science for just understanding reality. Meditation helps in developing the space, the discernment, going away from identification to objectification. That is what is called apadatalam mastakam. And one has to live a life in which this discernment is strengthened, wherein the window, the light merges in the total light of unmanifest consciousness. Window light meaning Sakshi. Sakshi window, actually Sakshi is referred to as a window. In the sense, there is a light of consciousness, there is just a window. In that window nothing else is there. It is through a body. So like as I was telling, in a pot there are 5 holes. Through 5 holes 5 rays come. But we say there are 5 rays. There is no 5 rays, there is only one light. It so happens it comes through the holes. So we call it a ray. We give a different name, that's all. The same way Sakshi is only a name. Conscious being is a reality. Through 9 apertures the consciousness comes out in our body. Like in a pot, through 9 apertures, Navadvaram Purayadeki, we are called. Body is called. So we got Navadvaras through which everything is expressed. So he says it's only just a dwaram through which the same conscious being is expressed. Something through the eyes, something through the ears, something through the nose, etc. But you feel, because they are all that faculty, that all those senses, all sense perception, nerves, etc. They are able to throw light only on a particular aspect of that light. So we call it eyes, ears, and all that. And then what we see through eyes, we call it color and form. What we see hear through ear as sound, etc., etc. But it is the same light of consciousness. That's what he is saying. Anyway, that is how he is giving that. This is a opening statement in the Bhashya for this particular what do you call it? At 13th chapter. But,
yeah.
Okay, there is a quotation like Nisarga Datta Maharaj. I don't know whether you have heard. Nisarga, there is a North India, there is one Mahatma who was called Nisarga Datta Maharaj. Okay, Nisarga Datta. And he was totally illiterate. He didn't know anything. But he knew, had this understanding. He was able to add a lot of followers and all that. Because particularly this awareness, this understanding, if you have a great, different, your life is taken in a different plane. You have a greater objectivity in space and what he calls santushti in life. That's what he is saying. He was a Maharashtrian Mahatma. Okay. So let us read it, and as we go along, I will share more.
Verse 1. Kshetra and Kshetragya. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Idam Shariram Kaundeya Kshetramithyavidiyate Etadyo Vetitam Prahuhu Kshetragya iti tadvitaha. Sri Bhagavan, the Lord, Uvacha said, Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, Arjuna, Idam Sariram, this body, Kshetramiti, as field, Abhidiyate, is called Etatyaha Veti, the one who knows this, Tam, him, Tadvidaha, the knowers of that, Prahuhu, speak of call, Kshetragyaha iti, knower of the field.
Abhidiyate meaning, Abhidanam means name. Abhideyam means by which the meaning of the word, the name. So Abhidanam, Abhideyam. Abhidiyate means he is called. That's why he is called. Yeah. So, it is just a technical name for name and meaning, word and meaning. That's all. Yeah.
Sri Bhagavan said, Kaunteya, this body is called field. The one who knows this field is the knower of the field. Thus say those who know that. In his answer, Lord Krishna reorganizes the whole question. Instead of defining Purusha and Prakriti, even though they were mentioned first in the question, he chooses to define Kshetra and Kshetragya because they have the same meaning as Prakriti and Purusha. The terms Kshetra and Kshetragya are less confusing as they do not have the connotations imposed upon Purusha and Prakriti by the Sankhya's. So can be more easily understood. Therefore, we can assume that Lord Krishna chooses to address first Kshetra and Kshetragya and then Jnaya and Jnana. Finally, he talks about Purusha and Prakriti. Arjuna
says Purusha and Prakriti a lot of technical connotations are there in the philosophies, various philosophies. So he will take it up last. First he will very clear differentiation, Kshetra, Kshetrajna is there. We will take Nyaya and Jnana. By the time he explains all that, Purusha Prakriti explanation also will also become very clear to us. So we will take it up last. That's what he says. Yeah.
Arjuna is addressed here as Kaunteya, son of Kunti. In Sanskrit, people are named not only according to their paternal lineage, but also as here according to their maternal lineage, because it was understood that both are important. Idam Sariram means this body. The word this is used only for an object that is not remote in time or place. Only what is right in front of you can be referred to by the word this. Krishna may have even touched his own body and said, this body, Idam Sariram, is called Kshetra. Then he says that they call the one who knows, Yaha Veti, this Eta, referring to this Sarira as Kshetragya. Who are they? Tadvidaha, those who know the Kshetra and Kshetragya distinctly. Here a lot has to be unfolded, but let us first see the meaning of Kshetra. Kshetra means a place, specifically a place of pilgrimage or a place of cultivation, generally a place where you reap fruit. The Gita opens with Dharmakshetra, Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre. This body is called Kshetra, the place where you can reap the fruits of Punya and Papa, and is therefore a Dharma Kshetra. And it is Karma Kshetra because being endowed with the free will, you are qualified to do karma. One more word here has to be added here. Idam Manushya Sariram is what is called Kshetra. Later he is going to expand on this to include any object. That being so, why does he confine the definition to Idam Sariram here? It is easy to understand that any object is a Kshetra, but not so with the body. I take it as Kshetrajna, the knower of all things. In other words, I take the body as I, Atma, not as Anatma. Therefore, I have to distinguish the Kshetrajna only from the body because I do not take any other object other than this body-mind sense complex as Atma and suffer from its limitations. I do not take the pumpkin as myself and so no viveka is necessary. I do not need to be told very seriously, you are not a pumpkin. Only when there is aviveka does one require viveka. No one has such a lack of discrimination between an object other than the physical body and himself. Since there is no confusion of taking the object as himself, no viveka is necessary. Bhagavan begins right at the locus of the aviveka, the physical body, which is taken as Atma. Even though a table, for example, is also a Kshetra, it is not mentioned here at all because it is not mistaken for Atma. The Kshetrajna also has to be defined because people generally take the physical body as a Kshetrajna. Then who is the Kshetrajna? If we say it is the one who knows the Kshetra, then even a rat looking at my physical body is a Kshetrajna. But it is not so. The Kshetrajna is the one who looks at the body, this body from within. That is the one who objectifies the body, this body from within, just as he objectifies the world outside. Here, in this verse, this physical body is Kshetra. And the one who sees this physical body as an object from within, the Drik, seer, is the Kshetrajna. Sarira is that which is subject to disintegration. Shrayamana,
Siryamana Swabhavam Sariram. The word Sariram has come from the word Siryamana Swabhavam. Siryamana meaning that which is bound to decline or decimate over a period of time. So Siryamana Swabhavam, what it has is called Shariram. That is it's again a generic name. This Shariram means the person who uses the word Shariram, he always knows that it is already declining all the time. So there was that much of viveka was already there in the language. So Siryamana Swabhavam Shariram. Otherwise also called Deha. Deha means Dahana Yogyam, that which is going to get burnt. The funeral fire any day. So that is called Dahanamana Swabhavam is there. Beautiful explanation. They know Yatartham. The life was looked at as Yatartham. It was never looked at as something Shashvatam. It is a beauty of it. Yeah.
Shriyamana Swabhavam Sariram, otherwise called Deha, that which is subject to be burnt, very cremated. Dahana Yogyam Sariram.
Yeah, Dahana Yogyam Deham, here he says Sariram, same as Sariram. Yeah.
The entire physical, physiological, psychological complex, including the causal, subtle and physical bodies, is called Kshetra. And the one who knows it is Kshetrajna. Shankara has a few things to say. By the pronoun idam, Bhagavan qualifies the word Sarira and then defines it as a Kshetra. We have seen the popular meanings of Kshetra. Here Shankara gives the etymological meaning, Vyutpatya
Vyutpatti Artha. Etymological meaning is called Vyutpatti Artha. Yeah.
Shankara says, gives the etymological meaning of the word Kshetra by giving four possible meanings. They are as follows. Chata Trana Kshetram. Because it protects one from fear falling into samsara, it is called Kshetra. Chayat Kshetram. Because
Shayat Kshetram. Shaya meaning something unwanted. Yeah.
Chayat Kshetram. Because it undergoes chaya, destruction, it is called Kshetra. Saranath Kshetram. Because it is subject to disintegration, it is called Kshetra. Kshetra with Kshetram.
Kshetratva Kshetram. Because, one who field, as a field. Field means like a crop. Yeah.
One who because one reaps the fruits of one's actions through this body, it is like a cultivable land through which one harvests the crops one has sown and is therefore called Kshetra. The human body is a Kshetra because it saves you from falling down. Chata Tranat.
Trana. Trayate meaning crossing. Ocean is called Tra. Like we have got other places where this is used. This
human form.
You know, you see.
Really? Yeah.
Trayate is to protect also, no, Swamiji?
No. Trayate is like a crossing. A boat is called. Helps you to.
Yeah.
So that meaning it is being used.
Tara.
Yeah. Setum's Tara, that famous Samagana is there, no? Setum's Tara. Setu meaning bridge. That helps you to cross the ocean of samsara. Setu Tara. It is the famous Samagana. Like there again, the same way, same meaning it is used. Shatak Tranat. Yeah.
With this human form, you are capable of following dharma and thereby gathering punya that will save you from falling into the body of a lower life form. It can give you moksha also, which is why this body is a place of pilgrimage. It helps you save yourself from falling into lower wombs, and with this human physical body that is alive, and in which there is mind, and so on. You can also save yourself from samsara. Whether it helps you save yourself relatively or absolutely from samsara, it deserves to be called a Kshetra.
The Gita opens with the following verse. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveda yuyutsavaha mamaka pandavakkaiva kimakurvada sanjaya. This verse can also be explained subjectively. This body is a dharma kshetra because it is brought into being by punya, which is the result of dharma. A human birth is very difficult to attain, nara janma dullabam, and can only come about as a result of punya, which is why the human form is called a dharma kshetra, or it is a form in which punya rather than papa is predominant and is therefore a dharma kshetra. It is also a dharma kshetra because only with the human form can you create punya. Because of this, it is also called kurukshetra, a place where you can gain purushartha, whether it is dharma, artha, kama or moksha.
Kuru means do. Kuru means do. Simply say Kuru, you please do this. Kuru. Kuru Kshetra. The doing Kshetra. Yeah.
So in this dharma kshetra, which is also kurukshetra, two groups have assembled desiring to fight. Samavetaha Yutsavaha. The mind is the arena of this battle. Of the two armies that have assembled, one belongs to the descendants of Pandu, which means white, and it symbolizes proper discrimination, Viveka. So the descendants of Pandu are proper way of thinking, values and so on, born of discriminative knowledge, Viveka Jnana. The other army is, as Dhritarashtra paraphrases it, Mamakaha, those that belong to me, consisting of likes and dislikes, born of Ahankara, which has its roots in ignorance. These hordes of ignorance born likes and dislikes are in conflict with Viveka Jnana. Dhritarashtra wants to know what is the outcome of the struggle between these two forces that is taking place in this body, and what follows is the entire Gita. Here it is important to understand that this is not purely a subjective interpretation. In order for such a battle to be waged externally, it is first fought in the mind. Otherwise, it would never manifest. All external conflicts arise first in the mind. When Hitler declared war, the battle was already being fought in his mind. We do not say that nothing happened externally, just that it happened internally first. What is outside is, after all, an expression of what is inside. Anything that takes place outside can be viewed subjectively also. This is important to understand because in the subjective treatment of the Mahabharata, there is a danger of dismissing history, which we need not do.
Yeah, even in the Shastra, everything, Mandakya Upanishad, it says everything is antastam. He equates dream and waking life only because both are happening in the mind only. In the dream, it happens entirely in the mind, so you wake up and you understand. Everything happened in the mind, you forget it. But in the waking also, anything and everything first gets registered in the mind. I told you, no, if a tree doesn't call itself a tree, you call it a tree from your memory. You only see some figure. The retina captures only the image. You call it from your memory and say this is tree. That means everything is happening inside the mind only, even in the waking. So, if you look at that, both waking and dream both are happening in the mind. So, both are mithya. That is how Mandakya Upanishad says straight away. So, that also correlates with what is being told here. Everything is happening in the mind. So, if you are able to look at it, even we don't have to worry about what is happening in the mind, but it is happening in the mind. That much you must be aware of. So then you can decide whether to act on it or not to act on it. That is why, that in the second chapter, the Sthita Prajna, finally what he does, Prajahati yata kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmani atmana tushtaha Sthita Prajnastu uchyate. Final explanation for a jnani. What Prajahati yata kaman. In your mind, lot of things will keep happening continuously like a movie. But what you are supposed to do, Prajahati, you are supposed to, whatever is not needed, just allow it to pass. You don't have to do anything. Just see and allow it to pass. Prajahati yata kaman sarvan partha manogatan. Whatever happens in the mind, just allow it to pass like a movie. Pick and choose what you are supposed to act in that particular moment, appropriate to the given situation. And do it and be done with it. Prajahati yata kaman sarvan partha manogatan. Atmani atmana tushtaha. A person who is happy with himself, by doing what is appropriate to the given situation, not going by the whims and fancies of the mind, he is called Sthita Prajna. That is how the final statement. So, mind is not an issue. Mind is like mind. But you are supposed to pick and choose. For that, you must be available as a separate, not identified with the mind all the time. I am my mind. No, I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am the being. So that the Kshetrajna, that what do you call, that Unnatam for a Nara, for a human being, he is having so much of Viveka and with which only he is born, but he loses over a period of time, slowly and steadily. So that should not happen. So this sort of a simple, basic understanding about our life. You don't have to need to know much outside. You may know Sanskrit, you may not know Sanskrit, you may know physics, you may not know physics, but about our own, that is why the understanding life is very important. Our own life it is. So what is body, what is mind, what am I? All those things are very fundamental. Once we are clear about this, then we can easily navigate life. That's what they are trying to say. Yeah.
This body is a chip. This body is a chip.
Yeah, correct. This body is a kshetra.
This body is a kshetra. Even though it is subject to disintegration as a human body, its purpose is not merely to disintegrate, but to serve as a kshetra. It is called kshetra because it can save you from destruction. Kshatat trayate, that is, it helps you to overcome dukkha. Or like a field of cultivation, this body is also a kshetra, since in it you can reap the fruits of karma. The one who knows this body as a kshetra is a kshetrajna. How does one know? Shankara says, from the sole of the feet to the top of the head, apada talamastaka. The entire body up to the extremities is known as conscious because one sense organ, the sense of touch, is all over the body. It reveals the Chaitanya Atma, which is exactly the Swarupa of the Kshetrajna, because of whom alone the body is also an object of knowledge. The Kshetrajna is the one who objectifies his body in terms of knowledge. Further, Shankara points out that he does this very naturally, swabhavikena, without being taught. Alternatively, his capacity for this objectification may be Aupadeshika, born of the teaching of the Shastra and the Guru. Though it can be arrived at without being taught, because it is an observable fact, yet the help of a teacher may be required to point out the distinction between the body and the observer of the body. Otherwise, the body...
Why it happens is basically because we don't get to even look at it objectively till the time we reach 30, 40, 50 like that. So much water has flown down the Thames, so much of identification has happened, it is very difficult for us to distinguish that we have identified ourselves with our body. If somebody, the day one somebody hears this, they will feel, what is this? If I am not my body, what am I? So that sort of an identification is there. So that is why it is difficult. Otherwise, if we are able to get exposed to this sort of a thing very early in life, it is not difficult. That's what he says, yeah.
Though it can be arrived at without being taught, because it is an observable fact, yet the help of a teacher may be required to point out the distinction between the body and the observer of the body. Otherwise, the body is taken to be the Kshetrajna, the Atma. In order to...
honestly, when I was told the first time when I met the Swamiji at the age of 20, just after graduation, when just in the class, I was not supposed to be the participant in the class. I was very young, a lot of old people were there. I just went there. And he was saying, you are the awareful being. When he said, you are the awareful being, it sounded very true to me. Yeah, correct. I am able to see what is happening to my body, what is happening to my father scolds me in the morning, in the evening my teacher appreciates, I play well one day in the cricket, one day I am not playing well, I am appreciated, I am scolded, all that, correct. I am able to see, I am the awareful being, seeing all these things happening, whatever that is happening in my life, very intimate or very away from my role and all that. So, very early in life, when you hear such things, you are able to identify easily. This is not, you don't have much resistance. But once you have gone through life with so much of identification, name, fame, everyone in the society expects you for whatever your name, fame, money, profession, etc., then identification becomes so strong, it's very difficult if someone comes and tells you, it doesn't really register. Even if you go to a class, it doesn't register, it just doesn't have nanna pesara, everything into andrum. So that sort of thing will happen. That is what he's trying to say. It's all very practical, these things, yeah.
Actually, Swamiji, it reminds me, Nochu Swamiji always used to say in the discourse, some people go to him, Namaskaram Manitu, Romma Anna irundhathu uga lecture அப்படிம்பா எனக்கு நன்னா இருந்தது நீ ஏதாவது எடுத்துனேளான்னா சந்தோஷம். He
also used to say, some people come and tell me, sorry, I could not come. But what is sorry about it? Nothing. Sorry.
You say that. Sorry, நான் வர முடியல நேத்திக்கு, இன்னைக்கு தான் வந்தேன். எனக்கு என்ன sorry எதுக்குன்னு எனக்கு தெரியல.
The problem is we look at an appointment like going to marriage. I'm sorry I couldn't come for the marriage. Sorry I don't come for the class. Who is receiving, who is giving? Nobody knows, honestly speaking. Those things are a real issue. That is why I am telling you, we are so mechanical, very mechanical in our life. Unfortunate. Yeah.
Actually, when we read all this, what he used to say makes more sense. We used to just take it on surface, but people are deeper puriyadhu.
Yeah. Swamiji has really spent a lot of time because he is very empathetic. He looks at the whole thing from your side. He can put himself in your shoes and look at the whole thing. That is the beauty of his teachings. Yeah.
The one who knows the body, this body as a kshetra, is a kshetrajna. How does one know? That because once
otherwise the body is taken to be kshetrajna.
In order to, that Shankara adds the word Aupadeshika here, the one who is able to objective, Aupadeshika meaning Upadesham. Only through Upadesham we are able to get it. Even though it's a simple thing, this distinguishing between the Sharira and Atma, even though it is simple, but Shankara adds the word Aupadeshika meaning only by Upadesham you are able to get it. So from there you can start. The one who is able to objectify.
Alternatively, his capacity for objectification may be Aupadeshika, born of the teaching of the Shastra and the Guru. Though it can be arrived at without being taught, because it is an observable fact, yet the help of a teacher may be required to point out the distinction between the body and the observer of the body. Otherwise, the body is taken to be kshetrajna, the Atma. In order to distinguish the Atma from the Sharira, teaching is helpful and sometimes even necessary. So, Shankara adds the word Aupadeshika here. The one who is able to objectify every part of this body as an object of knowledge, either because of the teaching or through his own observation, is called kshetrajna. By whom is he called as kshetrajna? Those who know Tatvidaha,
one who knows. Vidaha, with the meaning know. Tatvidaha means one who knows. Simple.
About the kshetra and kshetrajna, but they are known only to this extent. The one who knows this body, which includes the mind and the senses, as the kshetra, is the kshetrajna. This is not all that is to be known. About this kshetrajna, a fact has to be revealed by the Shastra. Verse 2.
One minute. Swamiji, actually, I want to just compare whatever we have read on verse 1 with what is given in this book. It is a Tamil book. I know you. This is a Tamil Bhagavad Gita with meanings. First, it is 13th chapter, first verse. The answer says, the meaning says, Sri Bhagavan கூறினார், அர்ஜுனா இந்த உடல் க்ஷேத்திரம் என்ற பெயரால் அழைக்கப்படுகின்றது. இதை எவன் அறிகிறானோ அவனை க்ஷேத்ரஜ்ஞன் என்று தத்துவம் அறிந்த ஞானிகள் கூறுகிறார்கள். That's all.
அதான் எல்லாமே இந்த what you call சேஃப்லி அறிந்தவர்கள் கூறுகிறார்கள் அப்படின்னு சொல்லினா நான் சொல்லல, என்ன கேட்காத அதுக்கு மேல. That is the idea. Safely, Shastra says. See, if I say I have to if you ask questions, I must be able to answer. Whereas Shastra says அறிந்தவர்கள் கூறுகிறார்கள், அறிந்தவரை போய் கேள்வி சொல்லலாம். So that is the beauty of. No, the thing is that you can't blame anybody for these things. Everyone has their own background. அவளுக்கு எப்படி யார் சொல்லி கொடுத்தாலும் அது தந்து வச்சுதான் அவ பண்ணுவா. It goes on like that. But Swamiji used to say sometimes anta parampara. Anta parampara meaning it is something, the blind leading the blind. That can also happen. The same parampara, which is supposed to be a very sacred thing, if the blind leading the blind also can be called parampara. The person who knows leading the person who doesn't know also can be called parampara. But both are parampara anyway. So that is how it is. What to do? Can't help it. But definitely, if you are able to get but that is why one of the Upanishad says, Acharyavan Purushaho Veda. Very famous Upanishad. It is, I think, Chandogya Upanishad. Yeah. It is Acharyavan Purushaho Veda. Meaning, a person who has a teacher knows. The teacher knows, it doesn't say. The student who has a teacher knows. That much of emphasis on the teacher. Once you have a teacher, you know. So it all depends on from whom you learn. That is what makes all the difference. The teacher's role is very important. His responsibility is much higher than that of a student. That is how it is.
Verse 2, the Lord says, I am the Kshetrajna in all the Kshetras. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetrajna yog jnanam yata jnanam matam mama cha api. And
one minute.
Footnote.
Yattat jnanam matam mama. Yeah.
Re-edited by Swamiji in June 2010 at Anekatti, Coimbatore, India.
Yeah. This is the third edition actually. 1990 was the first edition. Thereafter one edition. This is the third edition he has edited. That they have mentioned this. That's all. Yeah.
I thought some change he had made. I thought.
Yeah. Yes, his own book. Yes, he made, because this was all started in 1990. Before that, he did it in Salzburg, America. From there, when it came to India, he started circulating to all of us. I was the first member. So that we used to get it in a what do you call the spiral folder. Spiral folder we used to get. We used to keep it there. Paper sheets. Every month 50 sheets used to come. So 36 months, 1,800 pages, 18 chapter in 3 years. So before the first 50 sheets or next 50 sheets come, first 50 sheets I would have gone through twice. Even though I was working for Colgate-Palmolive at that time as a manager, very difficult, Bombay at that too. Morning 8 o'clock you go, night 8 o'clock you come. Still I used to ensure that I read these 50 pages and understand by the time the next 50 pages come. That is how it was. So that was the first edition. This is the third edition actually. June 2010 is the third edition. Yeah.
In some Gita manuscripts, this opening verse is not found and hence it does not carry verse number. Shankara gives the etymological meaning of the word Kshetra by giving 4 possible meanings. They are as follows. Shatatrana Kshetram.
You are looking at verse 1. Verse 2 you have to look at. We have finished verse 1 actually.
Verse 2. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi panchiye.
Cha api, and also mam me sarva kshetreshu, in all the bodies, kshetrajnam, as the knower of the body, vidhi, may you know, Bharata, O descendant of Bharata, Arjuna, yat, that which is kshetrajnayo, of the body and the knower of the body, jnanam, knowledge, tat jnanam, that is truly knowledge, matam mama, this is my vision. Bharata, Arjuna, may you know me as the knower of the body in all the bodies. That which is knowledge of the body and of the knower of the body is truly the knowledge. This is my vision. Here indeed is what the Shastra has to reveal. May you know me, Ishvara, as the Kshetrajna in all the Kshetras. That Kshetrajna who knows the Kshetra, a physical body, mind, sense complex, is to be understood by you as me, Parameshwara. This is the sense in which Krishna uses the first person singular here. Who is that Parameshwara? Shankara says, the one who is not subject to samsara. Everyone understands the Kshetrajna to be a samsarin, but here he says the Kshetrajna is identical with Ishvara, the Lord. And the Lord is not just the Kshetrajna in one given body, but in all Sarva Kshetreshu. Wherever one says, this is my body, there is the Kshetrajna, the Chaitanya that obtains in every body. That Bhagavan says is me, Sarva Kshetreshu, in all the bodies, I am the Kshetrajna. In other words, he is saying, you are me. Every person is me, Parameshwara. The Kshetrajna, Shankara explains, is seemingly divided into countless forms, beginning from Brahmaji to a blade of grass. Why seemingly divided? Only by the Upadhi is it divided, not essentially. When one sun is reflected in many mirrors, it looks as though there are many suns, but in reality there is only one. Similarly, one Parameshwara alone is the Kshetrajna, seemingly divided because of the Upadhis as Brahmaji, Indra, Varuna, Agni, Gandharvas, Yakshas, humans, animals, microbes, trees, plants, and so on. In reality, the Kshetrajna is not divided at all. It is free from the differences brought about by the Upadhis. In all the Kshetras, there is only one Parameshwara, which is Atma, you.
If you know that Kshetrajna is different from the Kshetra and I am the observer, then your Atma is as good as Parameshwara. Otherwise, you will have to say, till the time you understand, Antaryami, Bhagavan is there in all people, like that. You have to put it as something in third person singular, not first person singular. The day you understand that this Atma, this I, is the being which is observing my own body, mind, senses, emotions, etc., 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 then you can say this I, the Atma is as good as the Antaryami, the Parameshwara in every being, like that. So it is so simple, but it is so profound. The understanding, it makes all the difference between calling yourself as the Atma equivalent to Parameshwara or Parameshwara the Antaryami, that Ishvara resides in the hearts of all people. Like that, and you can safely put it away for another day, not to distinguish yourself Kshetrajna from the Kshetra. That is what most people generally we do all that. That is how because we want to be identified with the body, mind, senses, because for whatever it is, we have got a value for that. That is why we continue to do like that till the time we understand that the Kshetrajna, that the value for the Kshetrajna has to be understood so thoroughly that by understanding that I am the Kshetrajna, I instantly identify myself with Parameshwara. So that is more important rather than identifying ourselves with my body, mind, senses, all the roles, etc., etc. That discretion, that viveka has to happen. That's what he says. Yeah.
Further, Shankara says that it cannot be known by words that indicate what is Sat, existent, or Asat, non-existent. A pumpkin is Sat, it is evident to you as an existent thing, whereas its beard is Asat, also evident to you as a non-existent thing. Actually, slowly, first they brought about Atma, then they brought about Kshetra, then Kshetrajna, then they brought Asat and Sat already. Now they are bringing Kshetrajna with Asat and Sat. Actually, same thing, but in slowly how we learn in.
Yeah, basically there is the oneness, there is no difference. But initially the difference is talked about, and then the relative difference is knocked off, so that you understand the oneness. That is a methodology, that is a prakriya. Yeah.
A pumpkin is Sat, it is evident to you as an existent thing, whereas its beard is Asat, also evident to you as a non-existent thing. The knowledge of both is and is not is generated by a means of knowledge, pramana. And you, the one who operates this pramana, is distinct from the object known. But here it is not known to you as one of the existent objects, but is that because of which everything exists and is by nature self-evident and self-existent. Please understand me as that Kshetrajna, Kshetrajnam, Mam Vidhi. Arjuna is addressed as Bharata, meaning the one born in the family of Bharata. Here, however, in light of the topic, an etymological meaning is appropriate. The one who revels in Brahma Vidya, Ba is Brahma Vidya, Tasyam Ramati iti Bharata. Here, Brahma Vidya is indicated by Ba, that which is in the form of effulgence. Atma is Chaitanya, which is to be known as Brahman. Knowledge of Atma as Brahman is Brahma Vidya, and the one who revels in the exposure to this Brahma Vidya is called Bharata. Brahma Vidya alone is knowledge. Knowledge of Kshetra and the Kshetrajna alone is knowledge. This is Ishvara's vision, Yat Tad Jnanam Matam Mama. Mata here is not contention or opinion, but recognition of a fact. Whenever such an expression is used in the Shastra, it is a final verdict, not a matter of contention. Other than this,
friends, generally we say, it is Bhagavan's opinion. In some translations, very serious translations also you will find it is Bhagavan's opinion. Here he says not opinion or something, it's a fact of life. That's what he is trying to say. Yeah.
Other than this, the knowledge of the truth of the Kshetra and the Kshetrajna, which is Ishvara, there is nothing remaining as an object of knowledge because Ishvara is everything. Not only is the physical body, the mind, the senses and so on a Kshetra, but the entire physical world is also Kshetra. All this is implied here and will be unfolded in the verses to come. You thought the physical body was Atma, the Kshetrajna. Now you discover that not only the world that you know very well as Kshetra, But your physical body and all that is within it, mind, senses and so on, are also kshetra. Therefore, everything is kshetra, and what remains to be known are the kshetrajñas, of which there is only one, though we think of them as many. Kshetrajña and kshetra together cover everything, nothing is left out. Therefore, the knowledge of kshetra and kshetrajña alone can be considered knowledge, because if there nothing remains to be known. Krishna explains this further, because it does not omit anything. It is the knowledge of the whole. Any other form of knowledge is only partial jnana, and therefore ignorance, ajnana, in as much as it is sullied by ignorance. Once you know the kshetrajña as Ishvara and also the kshetra, you know the whole. That is the vision of Ishvara. This verse is a Mahavakya. Bhagavan says in all kshetras, may you know me as the kshetrajña, kshetrajñam chapimam vidhi, sarva kshetreshu bharata. It means there are not many kshetrajñas, there is only one, and that is not separate from Ishvara, who is not a samsari and is the cause for the entire world. May you understand vidhi, the knowledge of the kshetra and kshetrajña. This has to be said because there is confusion. The kshetra, the physical body, is taken as kshetrajña, the knower of the kshetra. Therefore, the knowledge of the kshetrajña, the I being identical with Ishvara, the Lord and of everything else being kshetra, depending upon the kshetrajña, is called jnana. Anything else is called ajnana. If Ishvara is looked upon as someone separate from you, there is ajnana, ignorance, because the truth is that Ishvara and the jiva are one and the same reality. That is the vision of Ishvara.
Yeah, that's one more thing also. The very fact we have seen the Tvam Padartha in the first 6 chapters about where it talked about I, what is your reality. And the next 6 chapters about the world and the Ishvara and all that. Now, the last 6 chapters they are trying to equate. So, both the kshetra and the kshetrajña are the equation, are on two sides of tat tvam asi, the equation. It is so appropriately the whole chapter is starting. What you call the observer and the observed, both are equated. Finally, they will say that there is no difference. The observer is the observed. What is observed is nothing. It is only mithya, and you are satyam. The observer is satyam. So, and it doesn't exist even by way of not only knowledge, even in terms of connectivity. Like if you take a tree, the tree, you say that tree is the, what do you call, why it is called a tree? Because it has got treeness. Why a forest is called a forest? Because it has got trees. Without the tree, a forest doesn't exist. Unless it is a combination of trees, a forest doesn't exist. And the tree itself does not exist if it doesn't have its own parts. But the parts do not make a tree. But the tree, it is called because of the parts. So both are equally dependent, mutually dependent. So tree depends on the parts depend on being called parts or because of the tree. So both being mutually exclusive, it is called mithya. Then what is satyam? That makes it possible, a tree to come together. We don't know why it comes from a seed to a sprout to a tree, why it takes very different shape compared to the sprout and all that. Everything can be explained by science, but as a phenomenon. But it doesn't say why it is happening, what is happening. Nobody knows, honestly speaking. If you really ask one more question, we will find it has to be still research, one more PhD. So that means what? The whole thing is through a niyati, and the niyati is knowledge, like Chaitanyam. That's what he is trying to say. Chaitanyam is the only reality that can be called, when it is put together in a form, we call it kshetra. When it is really analyzed, what you finally find is you are left with only kshetrajña, the being is the only reality of both the Sat and Asat. So that is the unified understanding of life, and that is you. Beauty is at the end of it that you, the Chaitanya, is nothing but you. That is what we are trying to say. That kshetrajña, you are the being, the nameless, formless, the timeless, spaceless, objectless, and everything else is objectified. So the being is the reality. That's what this whole Mahavakya is all about. Yeah.
Because this verse is a Mahavakya, Shankara elaborately comments upon it. Kshetrajña, you, the individual, is non-separate from Ishvara, and that Ishvara is one, which means there is only one Kshetrajña, Atma, not many. Therefore, in the vision of the Shastra, everything is one. You are the whole in that there is nothing separate from Ishvara, and essentially you are Ishvara, Satchit Anandam, Advayam Brahma. This being the vision, there is a necessity Shankara feels to unfold it as the vision of the entire Shastra, and he therefore has an elaborate inquiry here. He begins with the view of an opponent to this vision because Vichara is required when there is something to be known and if there are varying contentions about it. Within the realm of ignorance, there can be any number of contentions, all of which have to be answered in order to understand the vision. What was declared as Pratigna is established in the discussion that follows. It is important, first of all, to understand that the one who knows the Kshetra is the one who illumines it as Sakshi Atma. That is what is equated to Ishvara by the statement Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu.
Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi. Chapi cha api, meaning emphasis. For sure, you know, api means cha and api generally used for emphasis. Kshetrajnam cha api mam vidhi sarva. Please know for sure that I am the Kshetrajnam, I am the Atma in every Kshetram, Sarva Kshetram, every Kshetram, all bodies, not only your own body, every body, I am the Kshetram. You understand, Mam Vidhi, better you know. He says, that is why it's called Mahavakya. Very firm statement by Bhagavan. Yeah.
Purva Paksha Siddhanta Vichara, objection, the Kshetrajna cannot be the same as
you can read the footnote.
Footnote.
From here, a lengthy discussion is presented by Shankara, answering all the questions raised by all the dualists and establishing that the individual Kshetrajna is essentially not different from Ishvara. How much in 32 years he has done, no? He has learnt all this, then he has answered.
There again, there are a lot of disputes. Somebody says he is not 32 and all, he lived till 80. Anyway, we don't know really honestly, yeah.
The objection is about the statement of equation of the Kshetrajna and Ishvara. Objection, the Kshetrajna cannot be the same as Ishvara. The objection is about the statement of equation of the Kshetrajna and Ishvara. When he says, in all the Kshetras, understand the Kshetrajna to be myself, does Bhagavan really mean the Kshetrajna, the I is Ishvara, or is there some kind of relationship between the Kshetrajna and Ishvara indicated? The basis for the latter contention is that the Kshetrajna can be included in Ishvara, but Ishvara is not the Kshetrajna, as even a tree is included in the forest. But the forest is not a single tree. It is one thing to say,
Swamiji, I don't know if they all understand. Purva Paksha. Purva Paksha.
The voice is breaking.
Purva Paksha. The meaning of Purva Paksha.
Meaning of Purva Paksha. The Purva Paksha in the sense, Paksha is opinion. Purva. The sense, the Purva Mimamsakas, basically people who are generally referred to as, for them, Atmas are many, you are different from me. That is the whole Ishvara is different from you. In the sense, everything as we see, as we conduct the world, is for them, that is the reality. They are called Purva Pakshas. So for anything and everything where an identity is being talked about by the Siddhanti, they will oppose. They will say no. So that is the general. So Purva Paksha, what is told before, Uttara Paksha is what is answered. Uttara means generally answer. Okay. Uttaram means Uttaram Vedo means answer, give answer. Purva means before. First the question is asked, Purva Paksha, then an answer is given. So that is how it is. And Purva Mimamsakas are also called Purva Pakshis. Some cases. But here Purva Paksha Siddhanta is used in the simple meaning. One is asking a question, questioner and an answer. Siddhanta. That's all. Here, the dialogue is between a Purva Pakshi and a Siddhanti. A questioner and an answer. That's all. Yeah.
objection is about the statement of equation of the Kshetrajna and Ishvara. When he says, in all the Kshetras, understand the Kshetrajna to be myself, does Bhagavan really mean that the Kshetrajna, the I is Ishvara? Or is there some kind of relationship between the Kshetrajna and Ishvara indicated? The basis for the latter convention is that the Kshetrajna can be included in Ishvara, but Ishvara is not the Kshetrajna. As even a tree is included in the forest, but the forest is not a single tree. It is one thing to say that the ocean is nothing but drops of water, but it is wrong to say a drop of water is ocean. The Jiva is only a fraction of Ishvara. Those who hold this view, substantiated with verses like that from the 15th chapter of the Gita, Bhagavad says, Mamai Vamso Jiva Loke Mamai Vamso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhutaha.
Mamai Vamso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhutas. Like that it will come. So, Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha, in the sense, Sanatanaha, what is from the beginning, it is, Jivas are all only amshas of that, what is beginning. That's what they are saying. That typically it is a Nirishta-Dvaita. Vaishnavas generally they quote this verse to say that Mamai Vamso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. Yeah.
Only a fraction, Amsa of me is in the world of the Jivas. Similarly, there is a verse in Mundoka Upanishad beginning with the words Dva, Suparna, Sayuja, Sakaya, that says there are two birds in the tree of samsara. One goes about eating the fruits, that is karmapala, and another without eating. What is the other bird eating? The Dvaiti will say the one who does not eat is Ishvara, he is above everything, and the one who eats is the Jiva. By Ishvara's grace, this Jiva gains entry to heaven when he enjoys some kind of beatitude. The basic premise is that as the Jiva, you are forever different from Ishvara, who by his grace can save you by calling you to a better place where there are no afflictions. This is the essence of the theology of any dualistic religion. If Jiva and Ishvara are equated, then Ishvara will become a samsari. If in all bodies there is an Atma, I, which is one non-dual Ishvara, then other than that Ishvara there is no other person. That being so, there is no enjoyer Bhokta, nor there is a doer Karta, because Ishvara, being Satchidananda and not subject to samsara, is neither a Karta nor a Karmapala Bhokta. If we say this Atma, I, is Ishvara, it means I am not a Bhokta, which is not my experience of myself. If on the other hand, you say that Ishvara is also a Bhokta, and by knowing that I am the Ishvara, there is no gain. I continue to be the same samsari. But Ishvara is always presented as the one who is not subject to samsara. If that Ishvara is Aham, there is no separate Bhokta. Until now, I considered Atma to be a Bhokta. I am one who is the enjoyer of my Sukha and Dukkha. All my experiences tell me that I am the enjoyer. Now you say Atma is Ishvara. So in addition to knowing very well that I am a samsari, I know that Ishvara is also a samsari. If the Jiva is equated to Ishvara and if there is no other enjoyer, either Ishvara becomes a samsari or there is no samsara at all. Both are unacceptable. If Ishvara becomes a samsari because he is identified as Jiva, there will be no moksha. If there is no moksha, there is no bondage either because they are mutually dependent. But this is incompatible with our experience. We do experience a sense of bondage. If Ishvara is also a samsari, the maximum we can achieve is union with him. And union of a samsari with a samsari, however exalted, does not solve the problem of samsara. Fluctuating emotions, subject-object problems, fear, birth and death will all remain. We are eternally bound, which is highly undesirable.
So the whole thing what you read is the Purva Paksha. Purva Paksha meaning a person who is firmly defending his contention that Ishvara is separate from Jiva. If Jiva and Ishvara are one and the same, all my problems are also his problems, then what is the big deal in my trying to worship him and all that? Maybe he is a bigger samsari compared to me, that's all. So it is not acceptable. He also says that. But he is very firm that he is a samsari and a sukhi dukhi. That point, that identification is not willing to drop. So he equates himself with the Ishvara. If Ishvara is equated to me, then he is also a samsari. That is his contention. Now, in the sense, answer will be given. Yeah.
We are reading, there is no samsara, right? From there.
There is no samsara for the Jiva.
Then the Shastra will become useless. Dvaiti's argument continues.
Yeah, that is Dvaiti meaning the questioner's argument. Yeah.
If on the other hand, Ishvara is not a samsari and there is the identity of the Jiva and Ishvara, there is no samsara for the Jiva. In that case, what is the purpose of the Shastra? The study of Shastra is declared to be the means for moksha, freedom from samsara, which is bondage. The Shastra is a pramana because of which there is knowledge, and that knowledge liberates you. Here, however, we have a very unfortunate situation of the Shastra being useless because when there is no samsara, no bondage, there is no necessity for release. There is no duality whatsoever because there is no subject-object relationship. But that is not what we experience, and we have to account for our experiences. Any teaching should speak of our experiences, analyze them and reveal the truth about them, but it cannot go against our experience. Conclusions based on the experience can change in the light of knowledge, but not the experiences itself. A stick placed in a glass of water appears to be bent. Perceptually it is true, factually it is not.
So, Swamiji, can you explain the last word paragraph?
Yeah, in the sense, see the whole thing, the whole argument is, he says, see the problem with the Dvaiti or the Purva Paksha is very firm that his experience is real. His problem is, we also say experience is there. It is not that we don't say experience is not there. But he says that my experience is real. That is where the problem is. The problem is my experience is real, and if you say that Ishvara also is like you, Ishvara is there in every jiva, that means Ishvara also is a big, Ishvara, instead of I being there in my own body, Ishvara is there in every body, so he is a bigger samsari compared to me, that's all. Even if I get oneness with Ishvara, that what is the big deal? He is also a samsari, a bigger samsari compared to me. That there is no moksha, he will still suffer dukkha and all that. One person may be happy, another person may be dukkhi. So, since he is there in all the bodies, even if one person gets some sukha and another person gets dukkha, either way there will be some sukha in some body. So, he will be always a samsari. So, what is the point in that being an Ishvara, and am I propitiating that? Where is the bargain? What do I gain by propitiating that Ishvara? Whereas in the contrary, the Veda says there is moksha possible. By propitiating Ishvara, there is moksha possible. In that case, Ishvara should be a person who is not identified with any other. He cannot be a Kshetrajna. And my experience also is very valid in terms of Sukha Dukkha. By identifying myself as part of Ishvara, I must be able to get some beatitude. Whenever, at least when I die, I will go to Vaikuntha and sit there with him, where there will be no Sukha Dukkha and all that. So, that is the way to look at the whole Shastra. That is their contention, which he will refute, saying that basically what you say in terms of samsara, that Sukha Dukkha and all are there. Experience is there. But that is because of viveka. You are identifying yourself with the body and your mind and senses. And the body, mind, senses per se, they are jada. They are not going to have any sukha, dukkha and all that. You, by identifying yourself the being, which is not subject to sukha, dukkha, that what you have been talking about, the awareable being, by identifying with the body and identifying with the afflictions, so the experience of the body, you look at it as my experience. So you give reality to the experience which doesn't exist. Experience is there, but it is not your reality. The reality is I, the being. The experience is happening in the body, mind, senses and all that. That because of the various karmas it undergoes and all that. Initially it is all validated, but later it is all basically because of avidya. Because of this lack of space between you, the being, and the afflictions of the body, you take it as real, there is sukha, dukkha and all. Otherwise, if you are able to identify yourself as the being and the body, mind, sense as just instruments, you will put the instruments to some good use, that's all. Whatever is to be done, you will do. Nimitta matram bhava. You will do that. So there is no question of sukha or dukkha, there is no question of, even if there is an experience, you will not look at it as ishtam and anishtam. The opposites will not trouble you. So opposites will still be there, but we won't even consider it as opposite. It's only a situation, it's not a problem. You will just look at it objectively and carry on with your life. Rather than, that is the freedom. Freedom is here and now by understanding, by viveka. It is not by becoming something, nothing is going to change. Only by your observation, by your understanding of life, you can be a happy person here and now. That is Advaita. That is a Vedanta way of looking at the whole thing. Whereas Dvaiti, it is a question of confusing the perception to be reality. It's a question of lack of reality understanding. That is a Viveka. Perception is one thing, the reality of it is different. That's what he will explain. As we go along, he will explain. Yeah.
Knowledge can explain away a particular perception, but no Shastra can say something that contradicts the Pramanas, like Pratyaksha perception, Anumana interference,
even inference.
Inference, yeah.
Anumana inference and so on. It can reveal that there is heaven, for example, which is not against Pratyaksha or Anumana, because it is not within their scope. Further, samsara is characterized by pain and pleasure and their causes, success and failure, heat and cold. A samsari is always concerned about the future. The existence of samsara for a jiva cannot be denied because it is experienced by him through the means of knowledge like perception. By witness perception, you experience what happens to you, happiness and sadness. The causes for it like heat and cold are sensorial. The desirable as well as the undesirable experienced by the you cause sukha and dukkha. Therefore, you cannot say that there is no samsara. Further, samsara can be inferred from the number and variety of jivas that exist. Why do we see so many varieties of jivas? There must be some cause. One person is wealthy by birth, another is poor. One, though poor at birth, becomes rich, another remains poor throughout his life. We find variety of circumstances in terms of wealth, health, marriage, children, citizenship, talents, career and so on. All these are not totally self-planned and achieved. From this we surmise that there are a variety of underlying causes. Otherwise, how can we account for those differences? Even the genetic model can be traced to the more fundamental model of karma. This is an anumana in keeping with the Shastra that talks about a jiva, independent of the physical body, who survives death and assumes a new birth in various situations determined by its own set of karmas. The jiva is not feminine or masculine and may assume either a male or female body depending on which set of karmas need to fructify. It means each jiva is a bhokta and a karta. So samsara caused by punya and papa resulting from dharma and adharma is inferred in keeping with Shruti's attachments.
Statements.
In keeping with Shruti's statements. All these become necessarily untenable when Atma, the Kshetrajna and Ishvara are equated.
Yeah, see, the beauty of Shankara is he presents the Purva Paksha in a very, very tough manner. In the sense, you cannot deny. All these are generally felt by all people. Like this is how we feel, Sukha Dukkha is there, Karma is there, bodies are there, so many things are happening. You can't say that all these things it's all because of your lack of understanding. You feel samsaritvam, opposites, Sukha Dukkha and all that. You can't say that. That is what is the argument. Now, Shankara Siddhanti will give his reply. What is it? How would what you say, even though it looks like very real, it is not so true. That he will explain. Yeah. But we must really understand the Purva Paksha, because Purva Paksha is nothing but our normal living. In the sense, all of us, whatever has been told till now, we feel it. Yeah, it's real. Sukha, Dukkha, everything is there, plus minus is there. Somebody is rich, somebody is poor. Even though I am doing everything properly, my boss is questioning me. They are not cooperating with me. All those factors, all those things are happening. In our experience, it is all there. It is not that the Shastra does not deny that. But the way in which it explains will help us understand the Viveka, the discrimination between the reality and the perception or the experience. That's what he's going to do. Yeah.
Shankara answers, this argument is not valid. This argument, Shankara says, is not valid. Knowledge and ignorance being entirely opposed to each other, under the spell of ignorance, this is all possible. You need to find out which accounts for what. To explain, Shankara quotes a number of vakyas. In Kathopanishad, it is said, these two paths, ignorance and what is known as knowledge, are far removed from and opposed to each other. Kathopanishad 1.2.4. Earlier, the same Upanishad shows the difference between these two in terms of the result by saying Shreyas and Preyas are different. Kathopanishad 1.22. Preyas
Even Shreyas and Prayas we have discussed before also in Gita itself. We have said Shreyas, Prayas is whatever in normal wealth and all that. Shreyas is freedom basically. That's what in the sense he says, no, Shreyascha, Prayascha, Vihita, Hinaha. In the second chapter itself we have discussed. Shreyas is moksham, freedom, understanding. Whereas Prayas is wealth and all that comes along with that. Prayas is always comes along with some sukha, dukkha and opposites will always be there in Prayas. Whereas Shreyas is freedom, which is again, it is what do you call it, is holistic in the sense, it has nothing, it has no attachment, it has no frills attached, like in terms of money, wealth and embellishments and all that. It remains, it is unchanging, changeless. Basically it's called Shreyas. Prayas is changing all the time. So that is the difference. But he has quoted Kathopanishad. I will get the Kathopanishad Vakyas maybe next time, next class I will discuss that. Yeah.
Praise the result of avidya means something desirable like heaven and so on. Because of ignorance, I am the karta, I perform karma, taking myself as the agent, and if everything goes well, the result will be praise, a karma phala. The result of vidya is just the opposite, which is moksha. As a link in Sampradaya, generally we quote Vyasa as Shankara addressed here. He quotes from the Mahabharata, Dau Imau Ata Pantano. There are these two paths. Mahabharata Santi Parva 242.6. One is knowledge, Jnana Marga, leading to praise. Under the spell of ignorance, the jiva is seen as different.
No. One is knowledge, Jnana Marga, leading to
Shreyas, and the other
is karma marga, leading to praise. Under the spell.
See, the thing is that one you can easily make out. See, when he says, what do you call, the result will be praise. Karma phala. Karma phala meaning what? Karma phala is restricted, basically. It will be there for some time, thereafter it will vanish. In the sense, it is not going to be there all the time. Phala means what? Perishable. I have discussed before. Fruit means what? Perishable. It will be there for some time. Thereafter it will go anyway, whether you consume it or not. Okay, either by consumption or by getting spoiled, it will go away. So, phala means, any karma phala means, this praise means, it will be there for only limited time. Whereas, moksha, shreyas it is not a karma phala, it is the reality. So once it is the reality, and it was, we have discussed this, is that it is timeless, spaceless, and it's not even an object, it's a being. So it is not bound by anything, it's limitless. So naturally it will stay with you, it will stay for you, with you forever. That is the difference between Shreyas and Prayas. That is what he is trying to say, yeah.
Under the spell of ignorance, the jiva is seen as different from Ishvara, and one falls prey to the notions of doership and enjoyership, punya, papa, sukha, dukkha, experiences and so on. This is all invalidated with knowledge. But
so, it says invalidated with knowledge. See, validated as an experience. It is not that it is not validated. It is validated as an experience. But in terms of reality, it is invalidated by knowledge. That is what is the difference between prayers and sayers. Yeah.
But when there is ignorance, there is bondage, and the moksha shastra becomes valid, as do the karma phala and experiences of sukha dukkha. Even in the Gita, the two types of pursuits are discussed, one leading to moksha and the other to rebirths. So on the basis of Shruti and proper reasoning, one understands that this argument that if the jiva is Ishvara becomes a samsari, or if the Ishvara is not a samsari, there is no samsara, is not proper.
Yeah, that is the crux of the argument. The crux of the argument of the Purva Pakshi was, if Ishvara is there in all, then he is also a samsari. Then Ishvara becomes a samsari. I am not interested in that Ishvara. A person who is a samsari, however big he may be, I am not interested. And if Ishvara is not a samsari, then if he is equated to me, then there is no samsara. Then what about my experience, all this good bad experience, all that? He says the experience is there and it is real as far as he is concerned. We also say experience is there but it is not reality. That is the only difference. That is a viveka, which Siddhanta will explain. Yeah.
Knowledge and ignorance make all the difference. The argument, if the jiva is identified as Ishvara and Ishvara is free from samsara, then the jiva is free from samsara, which is against one's experience, causes no difficulty in this if we take into consideration knowledge and ignorance. The opponent's argument is that if he is Ishvara, there should be no samsara. That is true. If you are Ishvara, there is no samsara. Only if you know this, if you do not know, you will definitely take yourself as a samsari. Therefore, knowledge and ignorance make all the difference. The opponent is...
That is the beauty. It is not a question of becoming something or doing something. It is purely by way of understanding life. So, nothing has to change. You have to understand. Your understanding only makes the difference. Yeah.
The opponent is led to make this argument because he does not understand what is meant by the jiva being equated to Ishvara, the Lord. Therefore, he says, if the Kshetrajna, the subject, the known meaning of the word I, is equated to Ishvara, the Lord becomes samsari. Because of his identity with one who is subject to pain and pleasure, numerous limitations, and finally, birth and death. This is inconsistent with his being the Lord, who is defined as omniscient, omnipotent, and so on. Equation is not possible. Shankara, having realized
the objection.
Says that the necessity for this equation is to reveal the truth. You need to know that Jiva is Ishvara. If you do not know, you are samsara. Any limitation is purely incidental and not intrinsic to the self, the I, who is the Lord. There can only be one infinite, limitless whole, not two, and consequently, you cannot be separate from the limitless, nor can it be made up of parts. Thus the answer, knowledge and ignorance, account for this peculiar situation is valid. The limitations are due to ignorance and can be removed by knowledge.
If you say that in spite of being Ishvara, you experience limitations, it is understandable. It is due to not recognizing yourself as the non-dual self. Therefore, Shankara says that this ignorance along with its effects, which are the limitations, has to be removed by knowledge. For this we have Shruti, the Veda, supported by non-Vedic texts like Gita that corroborate the Shruti, and also reasoning, Yukti, that supports the Shruti. All the three are important. The Shruti is the source book for this knowledge, and this knowledge can be acquired here now in this birth. If you know that the self is non-dual, you are free from the sense of limitation. The body, mind and senses will continue to have their limitations, but they do not cause the self to be limited. That the body is limited is not the problem, because it does not look upon itself as limited. The mind is purely a thinking faculty that can function in the form of cognition, memory, emotions and so on, but it has no sense of limitation. The sense of limitation is centered on the I notion. On inquiry, this I, the Ahankara, the subject, reduces itself not to another thought form, but to the content of the thought form, which is consciousness. The one who recognizes that I, the Pratyagatma, as identical with Ishvara, sees that he is already free from any form of limitation. He knows that he is the truth of everything, and therefore the Shruti says, if one were to know this here, there is truth, iha chet avedit atha satyam asti. On the other hand, if one were not to know here in this life, na chet iha avedit, the loss is immense. Mahati vinastihi.
Yeah. Taittiriya Upanishad and Kena Upanishad is quoted. Yeah.
In fact, the loss is infinite because what you are losing is the infinite, exactly what you want to accomplish. Freedom from limitations is an already accomplished fact. Not knowing that, you have to take yourself as other than limitless, which can only be limited. Experience and interaction confirms that, and you cannot help but experience the pain of limitation. Thus, the endless struggle to be different begins, not realizing that no matter what you do, you will be the same limited person. From the Shruti, you understand that if there is ignorance, the person is bound. If there is knowledge of the self, he is free.
So we can stop here?
Yeah, we can do that.
The one who knows the self.
Okay, go to this again and I will try to get those Kathopanishad quotes. Yeah.
This is
The one who knows the self as Brahman is immortal. That is where you have to start.
Yeah.
Very, very profound in the sense. The 13th chapter being where it is located in the Gita, it starts the equation straight away. Whatever we have learned in the first 6 chapters about I, the next 6 chapters about the world and Ishvara, you have to really do a lot of mananam, lot of reflection. And then this equation becomes very, because it like recapturing the whole thing. So we have to do that, but I will try to get those quotes also. And I will also, once it's all over, this some of the remarks, whatever my own notes are there, that also I will share this. Yes. So,
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat